Well, the Indianapolis Colts were not able to pull out a win against the Steel Curtain this week, as Pittsburgh was playing absolutely out of their minds this week. That being said, the Colts come away with some really good news in key areas, all that and more, plus an update on our trade watch, with the Colts being buyers at the deadline if a deal comes to play, and more on this video. What's going on? It's Elijah from Sports Talk Indy, where we cover all things Colts every single day. And there's a lot of good news, despite a really bad game that the Colts played against the Steelers. And there's a lot of contributing factors, and probably not ones that I think people are really looking at. So the first bit of this is that the Colts did not lose a single leg or a single even step in the race for the playoffs, as they, even with New England winning their game, tying the Colts record at 7-2, the Colts still maintain an AFC record of 6-1, whereas the New England Patriots are 7-2, Denver Broncos 7-2, but in the conference, New England Patriots are 4-2, and the Denver Broncos are 4-2. The Pittsburgh Steelers maintain being 5-3. So there's currently a three-way tie for first place, but the Colts have a leg up in both, in that they beat the Denver Broncos and that they have a better record in the AFC over the New England Patriots. This will come into play later. Every game from here on out will come into play later, but specifically games in the division. Of the two games, I think you could throw one of these games, right? You could throw the game against the Falcons. You can throw the game against the Steelers. This was not the one that I was hoping that the Colts were going to lose, expecting that they were going to lose one, but this is one that I think that the Colts really didn't want to lose, being that it is in the division. But the Steelers are not a bad team. It's not like they lost to the Carolina Panthers or that they lost to the Cleveland Browns. Shout out to the other two, or shout out to some of the people on this list who have lost to those teams. The Colts lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who at various points in the season have looked incredibly good. And this was a team that was playing out of their mind. Now, there's the big contributing factor to why the Colts lost, and why I don't think this is a time to panic for the Colts, is the offensive line. This has been one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent unit in all of football this season. And obviously, one of the big things is that Matt Gonzalez lost his dad this past week. So prayers up to him and his family. Can't even imagine what you're going through. But the point of note is if you look back, that was the side of which you have Cam Hayward, and that's the side you have TJ Watt. Really the struggle side. And clearly, that right side of the line got demolished. But even on the left side, it wasn't like Daniel Jones had a full minute to pass. Kurt Warner breaks it down really well, and specifically on the interceptions, because I think if you're a Colts fan like myself and you're looking at this, I think that there's a little bit of panic. Did Daniel Jones go back? Did he revert back? And I will honestly say, no, he did not. Because there are key moments in this game that I think were different than the Daniel Jones of old. First off, only one of those interceptions was truly Daniel Jones' fault, and it was the one at the end of the game where, honestly, it was kind of just we got to make something happen. You're going to throw it in between some defenders, and it was just a physical play against physical Colts receivers that just weren't able to take the ledge. The other two picks were ones that one was batted at the line of scrimmage. Nothing you can do about that. But Daniel Jones was also having to get rid of the ball much quicker than I think he anticipated. Again, this is a Steelers team that on average gave up 386 yards per game. I don't think anyone in the Colts facility even thought that the Steelers were going to come out rushing 6 players per play. And that is what exactly happened. The Steelers' blitz rate this game was higher than any team in the rest of the league throughout any point in the season. They found something that worked, and they stuck to it. They played man coverage, and they did not allow for Colts receivers to be able to get any separation at the line of scrimmage. And when you're playing that way, when you're sending 6 guys, 5 guys at the quarterback, and some of them unblocked, the quarterback has no time to be able to throw the football. And again, at various points in the season, Daniel Jones has been able to escape that, has been able to make a play out of nothing, and yet this time he was not. But again, I don't think this is time to panic for Colts fans. And again, this is me talking to myself. This is me looking into the mirror and trying to explain this to myself. It is not time to panic. One, good teams lose games sometimes, and this is a game that you can lose. Like I said, this was one of 2 games that I think you can lose and walk away pretty unscathed as far as what this means playoff implications go. The Colts still have an over 90% chance to make the playoffs, which I think is still very, very good. And they have a very, it's not a great schedule remaining, but it's not a bad schedule by any means. You have 2 games against the Texans, 2 games against the Jags, game against the Falcons and the Chiefs. Those guys all have decent or have winning records, but I don't think any of those teams are better than some of the teams that the Colts have beaten so far this season. Another reason I don't think it's time to panic is that Matt Gonzalez is not broken. Obviously, this is a terrible situation that he's in. Hometown game, but he clearly got beat on a lot of blocks this week. There was some miscommunication on the offensive line. I believe it's safe to assume that will be fixed. I don't think that we're going to face another defensive line that is going to be as good as this Steelers defense. And again, this is a Steelers defense who throughout the rest of the season have not played near to the degree that they've been playing that they played yesterday. That being said, when you give Rodgers the opportunity to just be a game manager, he's going to do it. The fumble, that's not Daniel Jones' fault. The muff punt, obviously, you hate to see that. That's a tough thing about playing in Pittsburgh. And really just a tough thing about playing against veteran special teamers is that sometimes you miss those. I think this is a game that honestly exposed a lot of mistakes in the Colts team, exposed a lot of weaknesses that I think the Colts needed exposed. Right now, they've been pile driving through every single play or opponent that they've been going against. It's good for them to be able to have a team that maybe can expose a little bit of weakness. Another good news that I think is wildly underrated, and this is, I think, the big one, is that Jalen Jones, even though he walked off with an injury, is still back. And he looked really good yesterday. He shut down DK Metcalf on several plays. And honestly, if we're being real, he did not deserve the penalty that he had against him, of which DK Metcalf was literally shoving Kenny Moore to the ground. Jalen Jones came to defend his own guy. DK got in his face. That was 100% DK just being a dirty player. And honestly, he is. There's nothing new in his career. That's the thing that they were talking about when DK got traded to the Steelers, was that at the time it was going to be him and George Pickens just full out fighting DBs. That's exactly what happened. They got in DK's head and it looked good. If the rest of the team was able to play up to that degree, I think this is a completely different level. Other good news that I think we need to focus on is that Laiatu Latu had 2.5 sacks against a pretty decent Steelers offensive line. The Colts were able to maintain pressure in Aaron Rodgers' face, and I think this is any quarterback who has less experience than Aaron Rodgers, specifically in dealing with pressure. I think this is a completely different ballgame once again, because I think that this is a game where the Colts can get more turnovers and can get against him. It's just the veteran quarterbacks. It's very tough to get them down, especially in these situations, to get them to make mental mistakes. But I think that this is a game of which the Colts can get right, can get a good get back against the Falcons, and are able to go into the bye being potentially, hopefully, it looks as though they will be 8-2. Now, last thing we want to cover is the trade watch, specifically with Trey Hendrickson. Now, as of right now, it does not look as though the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be willing to part with Trey Hendrickson. Jalen Phillips was another name of note that the Colts might go after, but honestly, the Colts didn't need him, and to give up a third-round pick for a rental is just something that I don't think the Colts are going to be willing to do, especially when they feel like this isn't a Super Bowl or bust year. They feel like this is a building blocks year. They feel like they're still developing a team that can go far, and the fact that they are 7-2 at this point, looking to be 8-2 by the bye week, I think that's just bonuses. But that being said, anything can happen, but as of right now, November 3rd, trade deadline is tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As of right now, it does not look as though the Colts are going to be buyers for Trey Hendrickson, but look for names like Logan Wilson and Cam Taylor-Britt from the Cincinnati Bengals to potentially be on the move, barring something crazy happening. So we will continue to monitor that and give you an update following the trade deadline tomorrow. But thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.